One, two, three, three, two, one. What the heck's bothering me? One, two, three, three, two, one. What the heck is bothering me? Nothing really's bothering me because we're live on We All Be TV. Just want to make sure you can hear my voice and understand the words coming out of my mouth. Understand the words that's coming out of my mouth. Yes, you can understand and see me. I hope everybody's doing well out there in internet land. This is your brother, Brother Ron. What's the word with Brother Heard on We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century? News Free Dixie for the 21st century. This is we're winding down on the 2020 Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree uh, Festival virtual online celebration. We had to do it all the way live online this year because of the pandemic, scamdemic, whatever you want to call it. It is what it is. It's real. It is real. Okay. And this is Brother Ron. So, as I promised you all, I want 14 days of programming related to Jimmy Lunsford, black music, black culture, black excellence, black thoughts. Now's the time. And we're talking about today two movies. I want to talk to you all. We've been really been blessed this season with a lot of great movies about black people with black themes, black music, great soundtrack. And two movies I want to talk about tonight is Soul. Pixar produced Soul for the Disney, starring Jamie Foxx, ensemble cast, Felicia Rashad, Angela Bassett, Tina Fey, some other people, and also Sylvie's Love, a great movie on Amazon Prime. I believe like maybe that's the Love Jones of this generation. Maybe, perhaps, I don't know, because like Love Jones is very heavy theme in jazz. Jazz provides the backdrop for a story to be told that's about black love because black love matters. It still does. So we're going to talk about these movies, offer my perspective on these movies, and maybe later on have more shows that talk about these movies with other guests who've seen these movies, like we did with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I had shout out to Sister Angela Green Esquire for joining us on Sunday to really break that movie down, among other things. And that's how we do it on We All Be. We believe in diversity of thoughts, opinions, and whatnot, and believe in amplifying other people's voices as well throughout the diaspora. So we pride ourselves on that. I hope y'all get a chance to check out Soul if you haven't seen it already, and also check out Sylvie's Love. I just want to offer some historical context around some of this stuff, and also my own personal opinions. And let me read. Let me find this disclaimer. Let me find a disclaimer, man. Uh, yeah, man. I can't believe it's almost 2021. It's crazy. I can't believe it, but we're gonna finish out this year strong, and also this festival celebration strong. On Tuesday we're gonna have on our 2020 Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival Homecoming Court King, the one and only Bobby Lavelle, the great Bobby Lavelle, jazz genius, saxophonist extraordinaire, arranger like no other, an arranger like no other. We're gonna have a very candid conversation about the state of music, about jazz, and about culture. And you don't want to miss that. It's gonna be all the way live on We All BTV YouTube channel. We're gonna give him the platform for him to express himself and all that jazz. So we're gonna celebrate Bobby Lavelle, whose father is the legendary Honeymoon Gardner. He is true Memphis music royalty, y'all. Um, Man, it is so much stuff going on. And also, brother Bobby Lavelle was close to Jimmy Heath, one of our iconic jazz giants, Little Bird, because he Sounded like Charlie Parker. He used to play alto sax and he moved on to tenor saxophone, and the rest is history. But Jimmy Heath was a great man who died this year in 2020. One of Philadelphia's finest in terms of, he came from the Heath brothers, great jazz family, jazz royalty. And I had a chance to meet him back in 2016 in his apartment in Queens. Gave him the Jimmy Lunsford Legacy Lifetime Achievement Award for a lifetime dedicated to excellence in music and education. He really appreciated that award, and spent a couple hours with him, just reminiscing over his life, his amazing life journey. This man had a band which he had in his band under his direction, Charlie Parker and John Coltrane at the same time. This dude had a band. We had Charlie Parker and John Coltrane at the same time. And when I saw him up in Queens a couple years ago in his 90s, he still was playing like great jazz with young guys like in their 30s from Baltimore. This dude still was playing, still involving, still sharing, still caring. But we lost a lot of jazz greats this year, like McCoy Tyner, John Coltrane's pianist and a great piano player and jazz leader in his own right. He passed away this year. Um, so many people passed away. Ellis Marcellus, the patriarch of the Marcellus family, he passed away. COVID related stuff. There's a couple, some more jazz greats. Oh, Danny Ray Thompson, the Sun Ra Orchestra passed away back in March. And we're going to go do a tribute to Danny Ray Thompson as well as to Jimmy Heath before we close out the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival for 2020. But let's talk about these movies. Sylvie's Love. And I saw Sylvie's Love on Amazon Prime. That's starring Tessa Thompson and also Namdi Asho. Was it Asho Woma? Let me see. I remember I pronounced his name right. That's actually Kerry Washington's husband, brother named Namdi. Let's see. Namdi Ashomuwa. Namdi Ashomuwa. Namdi Ashomuwa. Used to be a standout football player, professional and college. He played at Cal, played professionally, 11 seasons, played a lot of his time in the NFL with the Oakland Raiders. Was considered one of the best defensive backs in the league at one point. Multiple time Pro Bowler or All Pro selection, rather. And he actually made a successful transition to film and television. I remember actually seeing him or taking notice of him in another Amazon, I think Prime movie production called Crown Heights, based on a true story, where he plays a guy who goes to law school to help free his friend who was wrongfully convicted. It's based on a true story. And he really was a great lead in that one. He's a natural when it comes to acting and storytelling. And really, he made the transition from professional sports into acting very smooth, it seems. He's like, he reminds me of the same way Jim Brown or Bernie Casey or Fred Williamson, but he's not an action hero or what do you call it? Superhero thing. He does like a romantic leads and stuff like that, social justice issues, serious heavyweight stuff he gets into. So I really enjoyed his work, and he really did shine in Sylvie's Love. He really did shine in that. Very enjoyable, very watchable. But I did have some issues with Sylvie's Love, so to speak. I want to have spoiler alerts in this review. It's going to be some spoiler alerts, but you still should check out the movie. I do believe it can contend for this generation's Love Jones. Now, I didn't see Love Jones until last year. Please forgive me. I was like probably the only person who was old enough from that era probably to have seen Love Jones, but waited almost about 20 something years to see it. But I see why people love Love Jones, and I can see why people can love Sylvie's Love. It could be an instant black love classic. But my thing is that the namesake of the movie, Sylvie, she did something that was very foul to me. I can understand. I guess it was from a loving place, but man, it's cold blooded. Now, basically, let me roll it back. Okay, Namdi plays a very talented tenor saxophonist who's nicknamed B Flat from Detroit, Music City, Motown, whatever. He moves to New York with his band, the what you call the Dickie Brewster's Quartet. His friend Dickie Brewster is the pianist, and he's the leader of the band. But he ended up getting a job at this record shop, and he meets this girl named Sylvie, who father owns the record shop, named Jay, who's from South Carolina, who's a musician and saxophonist himself, or former musician, retired, and her mama runs an etiquette school. And so she's already engaged to a guy who was, fighting overseas in the Korean War. But she falls for this, tall, dark, and handsome brother who could blow a saxophone. Very talented brother. And she sings his praises, yada yada. They end up, falling in love, had a wild summer. Like I told you, this woman came from a good family. She was engaged, but yet she was willing to have unprotected sex with a musician many times over, and got pregnant and knocked up. And the thing about it is, she didn't even tell the brother. He was on his way to go tour in Paris, and she did not want to tell him for whatever reason. I guess she didn't want to get in the way of his dreams. Like the Otis Redding song, I Got Dreams to Remember. So he had dreamed of being a big time musician and going overseas and wowing the crowd in Europe and all that. So instead of her telling him that she got knocked up by him, that she was going about to have a jazz baby, she just let him go on his way. 5 years passed by. He's still with Dickie Brewster's band as a sideman, although he has the talent to be a superstar. Everybody knows he has talent to be a superstar, except for B Flat, who lacks the confidence to really get out there on his own to do his thing. So it's 5 years past, right? And they have a chance encounter outside of a theater, doing a Nancy Wilson concert, or the beginning. They're about to start a Nancy Wilson concert. He was coming from a recording session. Just so happened to be looking at the poster. She was waiting for her cousin Mona to join her for the Nancy Wilson concert, but she didn't show up. She saw B Flat 5 years later. I'm like, what the hell? A chance encounter. So if they never saw each other at that chance encounter, it's quite possible that he would never have known that he fathered a daughter with this woman who came from a so-called respectable family, who was engaged to a guy who was really a catch. Like his father was a prominent medical doctor with a thriving business practice. I think he was a surgeon. So this guy was a catch. He could have had any woman in Harlem or in the country that was eligible, but he chose this woman who got knocked up by a road travel weary jazz musician and settled. I mean, it's interesting. Okay, if they never had that chance encounter, it's quite possible she could have went on with her life with this other guy, never telling this guy that he had a child by her. And people do this. This is actually, like, people say, "Oh, this is far fetched." Hell no, it's not far fetched. It happens all the time. I remember somebody telling me about their mother's father. Like her mother was real close to her father, but her mom decided to move. Her mom's mom decided to move from Chicago to another place, like out west, and not tell the father, who was close to the daughter, her mom. I'm confusing y'all, but I'm not trying to confuse y'all. But the sister would tell me about her mom taking her away from Chicago and move her out somewhere and not telling her father about where she moved the daughter. Yeah, I probably confused y'all, but the father eventually found out where the daughter was moved to, and they continued their close relationship. But it took them a couple years to find out, because this woman didn't tell anybody in the family where she was actually moving to with the daughter. So this stuff can happen. Women can have kids and not tell the father and move on with their lives like it's nothing. Then you get a knock on the door 18, 20 years later, and you open the door, somebody look like you, kind of whatever. got some of your mannerisms and saying, "You my father, you my pappy, you the daddy," you know. So this happened, but I mean, I actually enjoyed the movie because really, it's about the redeeming power of black love. To me, this is one of the things to me because I mean, she didn't really tell him. It was her father that told him about his daughter. It was her father, Sylvie's father, who was a jazz musician himself, who told that man that his daughter has his daughter. I'm confusing y'all. And he ended up dying of a heart attack. He called B Flat from the hospital and told him, "Hey, my daughter should have told you that she has your daughter." It's like a Tyler Perry movie. It's very redundant. One of them Tyler Perry sitcoms, but it's better dialogue, right? So she even really tell him herself. It was forced literally on her father's deathbed to tell this man, "Hey, my daughter got your daughter, man. You need to holler at her." So I mean, Sylvie never really owned up to that, but in Sylvie's mind, she thought she was doing him a favor because she didn't want to ruin his chance of having a great career. But really, B Flat undermined himself the whole time because Dickie Brewster, the leader of the quartet he was a part of, was writing songs and arrangements with old boy. Ended up becoming very successful because he copyrighted the arrangements and songs and did not include B Flat on it. So he fell short once again. He stayed too long with the band to begin with. He had the talent. Even the lady became the manager of the band, known as the Countess, who is based on a real person known in jazz circles as the Jazz Baroness. Pananika, the Rothschild lady, who is known as the Jazz Baroness, the Countess and Sylvie's love is based on her. Now, a lot of us don't know our history like that. So let me break it down who the Jazz Baroness was, right? Who this Jazz Baroness was. But before that, I want to touch upon B Flat once again, because it reminds me of Levy in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, another great movie that's worth watching and critiquing. That, you have a guy, B Flat, that's very talented, sideman, a saxophonist, but he never knows his value. Like even Sylvie knew that he had an exceptional gift for music. Everybody around him, even the Countess, knew that he was the star or the superstar of the quartet, but he was not the leader of the group. And the guy who made the most money out of the group was probably the least talented person in the group, Dickie Brewster, who was the leader and the piano player. Because even, when it was in a recording session, you know, uh, Miles Davis was recording next door, right? Miles didn't care about Dickie Brewster. He wanted to meet B Flat. B Flat supposed to be the next coming of John Coltrane, but he never really took off because I guess he didn't really believe in his talent. He didn't believe he could really step up and become that dude. But everybody else could see it, which is a tragedy to me. He didn't know his value. Just like Levy didn't know his value in Mom's Rainy Black Bottom. He sold himself short. He didn't have to. Same situation with with B Flat. But the lady who ran the quartet, they call her the Countess, but it's based on a real person that's nicknamed the Jazz Baroness, known as Nika or Pananika. She was a Rothschild. And let me just share a screen and talk about this a little bit. I hope everybody's doing fine. I can't believe, man, this year is going by so fast. Show the Baroness. This is the Rothschild that was known as the Jazz Baroness. And you know what's crazy about that? She was real close to Charlie Parker and Thelonious Monk. These are some of the most brilliant musicians who ever lived. They are the fathers of the jazz language known as bebop. You understand what I'm saying? But she was there for them guys. She was like a patron saint for the black jazz musician, the bebop musician in particular. And Charlie Parker died in her hotel suite, the Stanhope Hotel, back on March 12th, 1955. It's just the age of 34 years young. But the coroner thought he was 60 years old because his body was so worn out from years of drug abuse and just abuse. Charlie Parker wore it just lived himself out. He just wore himself out. So he died in her suite, which was a scandal because the hotel said we can't let you stay here. I know you're a Rothschild, you got all the connections and stuff, but they just look bad. It's bad publicity to have a Negro die in your hotel room, on your hotel suite or whatever. So she also had Thelonious Monk die in her home in Weehawken, New Jersey, back on February 17th, 1982. No, she was really, really, really close to Thelonious Monk. She had two of these black guys die in her home years apart. I mean, is that a coincidence? What's going on here? But the Baroness was interested because she really was a big Monk fan, right? She really was like his second wife. No, now Thelonious was married to a black woman named Nellie. He had two kids by her, this Nellie woman, and he wrote a love song to Nellie. But Nellie was okay with, I guess, the Baroness sharing Thelonious Monk. Cause Thelonious was interesting, man. Y'all need to check out that movie, the documentary called Straight No Chaser, that I believe was produced by not Bill, I said Clint Eastwood, who's a big jazz fan, the same guy who directed Bird, the movie about Charlie Parker, the biopic about Charlie Parker. Yeah, Clint Eastwood. He's a big jazz fan. But I think he helped produce a documentary called Straight No Chaser that talks about Thelonious Monk. It was like a reality TV show before it was a reality TV show. And the Baroness is in that documentary. She was a big supporter of Monk. Like I said, she basically was his wife in a lot of ways. His second wife, helped with his business affairs, champion his music. Because a lot of people don't understand, Thelonious Monk is more accepted now than he was when he was walking around. Like, it's weird that people thought that Thelonious music wasn't that great. I mean, people used to pan Thelonious Monk because the way he played on the piano, he had a unique, unorthodox approach. He used a lot of dissonance in his compositions. He was unique, man. Like, he would, when he stopped playing and let the other people solo, he would just get up from the piano and start dancing, and then go back to the piano and start playing. The man was phenomenal with his head game. The guy really created the image of the bebop musician, of the modern jazz musician, because he was the one that started wearing the sunglasses in the building with the berets and the unique hats, and he had the stylish suits. Thelonious Monk was a unique character. Okay, he was his own man, but he paid the price for being an original. Because he had the unique sound. He knew who he was. Nobody played or sounded like Thelonious, and he was his own person. And it took him a minute for his sound to become commercially successful. Like, he said something to the fact that even if it take you 20 years to get an audience, never stop doing what you're doing. You got to be the tastemaker. You got to be confident in your sound and your ability to attract an audience. And eventually, he became one of the only one of five jazz musicians to appear on the front cover of Time magazine. You got Dave Brubeck, Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Wynton Marsalis, and Thelonious Monk. They're the only five jazz musicians to appear on the front cover. I think it was Time magazine, if not Life magazine, but it's Time magazine, I believe. Y'all can correct me, because it's like do what you want to do, but I'm just putting it out there. And like I said, she really had a thing for Thelonious, this jazz baroness lady. Find a picture. Yeah, man, it's been a long day. Like I said, let me just jump on here a little bit and share some information. That's her with Thelonious Monk. See how she looking at Thelonious? Just Google some of their pictures, man. They really had a very close relationship, and I don't know. It's kind of like a Billie Holiday, Lester Young thing. Is it really platonic, or is it something more to it? But his black wife was okay with them having a relationship in terms. I don't know what type of entanglement it was, but she was part of the family. She really cared about Thelonious Monk and his music. And he ended up dying in her home. Like when he retired from performing in the early 70s, he basically lived with her. He didn't live with his wife, he lived with her towards the end of his life. He had a piano in his room. But Thelonious went through a lot of stuff, man. And he's one of my music heroes. And let's talk about the jazz baroness a little bit. And I know we're probably talking about the movie Sylvie's Love, but I want y'all to know that when y'all see the Countess who takes control of B Flat's music group, the Dickie Brewster Quartet, is based on a historical figure who was a Rothschild. I know y'all into Illuminati stuff, but it is what it is. But let me read a little bit about her jazz association. Well, Kathleen Annie Panonica Rothschild was born in December 1913 in London, the youngest daughter of Charles Rothschild and his wife, Hungarian Baroness Rosika Edi von Werfenstein, daughter of Baron Alfred von Werfenstein of Transylvania. She was born into a branch of the wealthiest family in the world at the time. Her paternal grandfather was Nathan Rothschild, first Baron Rothschild. She grew up in Treen Park Mansion as well as Waddesdon Manor, among other family houses. The name Panonica, shortened to Nika as a nickname, derives from Eastern Europe's Pannonian Plain. Her friend Thelonious Monk reported that she was named after a species of butterfly her father had discovered, although her great niece has found that the source of the name is a rare species of moth, Eublema pannonica. Now, her great niece did a documentary called The Jazz Baroness that came out on HBO several years ago. You probably be able to find it on YouTube or online somewhere. It's called The Jazz Baroness, and it's about the Jazz Baroness. You know, she was a niece of Walter Rothschild, the second Baron Rothschild, and her brother Victor Rothschild became the third Baron Rothschild. Hmm. Her elder sister, Dame Marion Rothschild, was a distinguished zoologist and author. Okay. Hmm. Interesting life. In 1935, she married French diplomat Baron Jules de Cornenswater, later a free French hero. In 1937, they bought and moved to the Chateau des Abondants, 17th century chateau in northwest France. They acquired from the family of American banker Henry Herman Harges, who acquired the chateau in 1920 from the Duchess de Vallombrosa. She worked for Charles de Gaulle during World War II. The couple separated in 1951, and she moved to New York City, permanently renting a suite at the Stanhope Hotel and leaving behind 5 children. Stanhope Hotel is where Charlie Parker died. As a result of their separation, Cohenswater was disinherited by her family, the Rothschilds. The couple eventually divorced in 1956. In 1958, she purchased a house with a Manhattan skyline view, originally built for film director Joseph von Sternberg, at 63 Kingswood Road in Weehawken, New Jersey. That's where Thelonious Monk died. Cohenswater died of heart failure in 1988, age 74, at the Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center in New York City. She had 5 children, 2 grandchildren, and 4 great grandchildren. Hmm. So she's an interesting person. But she was the jazz baroness. She loved them black men who could play them keys and play that horn. So I mean, she had a thing for the brothers. So that's just something I want to share with y'all because I see people critique a lot of these movies. There's a lot more going on than meets the eye. I know everybody's on this thing, and because if we don't tell our stories, we don't get the glory. If we don't tell their stories, then the ancestors get no glory. You understand? But yeah. But I enjoy Sylvie's Love. But it made me wonder, how many of y'all think that women actually do that? That women will have a child by a man and not let the man know for years, if at all, that they have a biological kid out there. Like I said, it happens. It can happen. Uh, I'm gonna read some more about the jazz baroness and her involvement in jazz, so y'all can understand. You understand what I'm saying? Even in that movie, the Godfather, or that show which Forrest Whitaker played Bumpy Johnson, the Godfather of Harlem, they had like a, well, not really a jazz baron. It's more like a Vanderbilt, I think. But you always have those white women with that type of influence that are interested in the black arts. You have women like that around for centuries, right? You could go back to the house of the Medicis in Italy. Come on now, talk to me, people. You know, Alessandro de Medici. I think he was black, wasn't he? House of the Medici. They were the patrons of the what do you call it? The Renaissance times. What the Italian Renaissance? What Leonardo da Vinci? All them guys. I don't know. It's late right now, but let me talk about the Baroness and her contributions to jazz. Like I said, both Charlie Parker and Thelonious Monk died at her home, at her homes, right? In New York, Day Coinswater became a friend and patron of many prominent jazz musicians, hosting jam sessions in her hotel suite, often driving them in her Bentley when they needed a lift to performances, as well as sometimes helping them to pay rent, buy groceries, and making hospital visits. Although not a musician herself, she is sometimes referred to as the bebop baroness or jazz baroness because of her patronage of Thelonious Monk and Charlie Parker, among others. Following Parker's death in her Stanhope Rooms in 1955, Day Coinswater was asked to leave by the hotel management. She relocated to the Bolivar Hotel at 230 Central Park West, a building commemorated in Thelonious Monk's 1956 composition Baloo Bolivar Baloo's R. She was introduced to Thelonious Monk by jazz pianist composer Mary Lou Williams in Paris while attending the Salon de Jazz or Salon du Jazz 1954. She championed his work in the United States, writing the liner notes for his 1962 Columbia album Crisscross. She even took criminal responsibility when she and Monk were charged with marijuana possession by Delaware police in 1958, spending a few nights in jail. Day Coinswater, or the Jazz Baroness, was sentenced to 3 years in prison. After a 2-year legal battle that was financed by her family, the case was dismissed in a court of appeals on a technicality. Hmm. She was a regular customer at many of New York's avant-garde jazz clubs, including the Five Spot Cafe, the Village Vanguard, Birdland, and Smalls. In 1957, she brought a new piano for the Five Spot because she thought the existing one was not good enough for Monk's performances there. During the 1950s, she was licensed as a manager by the American Federation of Musicians. Her clients included Horace Silver, Hank Mobley, Sir Charles Thompson, and the Jazz Messengers. After Monk ended his public performances in the mid 1970s, he retired to Day Coinswater's house in Weehawken, New Jersey, where he died in 1982. She used her inherited wealth to pay for funerals and burial grounds for several jazz musician friends, including Bud Powell, Sonny Clark, and Coleman Hawkins. So she was a real patron saint of the music, and she took care of the people who produced the music. So that's interesting. It's fascinating. And also, the person who lives in her home now in Weehawken, New Jersey, is none other than jazz great Barry Harris. Barry Harris is still going strong. This man is in his 90s. He's like 91 years young. Just had his birthday. And before the pandemic hit, he was doing these amazing jazz workshops in New York. You can look up an article that was written about it and I think the New York Times. But he, I mean, in his 90s, still teaching people about the music. And I want to share. And I had plans actually of going to New York this year to be a part of his jazz workshops. Like people of all levels are invited to learn from a master teacher. And he just so happened to be living in a home that was once owned by Rothschild, the jazz baroness, Tanika, you know, that lady who loved the black man who made the music in her own way. I don't know the specifics of those relationships, but evidently, you gotta imagine. I mean, we talk. I mean, I'd be talk about black women on this platform, right? But Thelonious Monk was a genius. He was like no other. But it had to be difficult to deal with somebody like a Thelonious Monk. Thelonious Monk was difficult to deal with. So I can't imagine. God bless his woman, Nelly. She was a saint because he's Thelonious Monk. Thelonious Monk was known for a guy that could stay up for 2 or 3 days at a time. You know, just be playing music, just be out, been playing music at all times and hours, just doing stuff, right? And then he can sleep for a couple of days. Like he'll be up and you know playing and be active and energetic, and then all of a sudden he won't speak to you for days on end. He might say just 2 words for like several days. I mean, he had all type of them. I don't know. It's like he had some mental issues. Whatever. He been through a lot of stuff. He been beat up by the police. See, no, the Jazz Baroness was a rider, right? They went, you know, he was about to perform at a club in Baltimore, the Comedy Club in Baltimore, one time, and the police, and I think with Delaware, that's Joe Biden. See, Delaware is like Mississippi of the North. That's Joe Biden land. That's Biden land, right? So he got beat up real bad by the police with a blackjack. And the Baroness was ride or die. You know what I'm saying? She stuck with that man, bailed him out of jail, took them criminal charges, beat it in court because she had deep pockets and connections because she was a Rothschild. She was a Rothschild and she was willing to ride for Monk, man, protect him. So, but Monk's like he had some issues going on. I don't know if he's bipolar or what. You know, I think he was on all type of drugs and whatnot. But he had, I don't know, man. But you gotta think about he went through a lot of stuff with the music, man. He stayed true to himself. He paid a huge price for that. Because like I said, it was not received commercially for a long, long time. Like people that love his music will book him into clubs. Sometimes nobody will show up to the clubs. That's hard to believe today. Because Thelonious Monk, to me, I love Thelonious Monk. I'm gonna tell you, well, when I first started listening to Thelonious Monk about 20 something years ago in college, I was like, what the hell is this stuff? But then you start listening to it and listen to it, and everything he did really made sense. And I think a lot of time people trying to dismiss him was because his stuff was really, it was unique, it was sophisticated, and it was hard to play. It really forced you to really be committed because like a lot of people would dismiss his work. A lot of them couldn't play it. But the folks who championed his work from the get-go, like a Coleman Hawkins, like a Charlie Parker, like a Dizzy Gillespie, they knew that he was the real deal genius. That's why a lot of people dismiss his work because his work was high level. Thelonious Monk is the most recorded jazz composer behind only Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington wrote way more music than Thelonious Monk. Duke Ellington basically wrote thousands of songs. Thelonious Monk probably, compared to that, just got a handful compared to Duke, but his stuff is so unique that you don't even realize that you listen to Thelonious Monk music today when they have a commercial on TV or when you listen to or when you watch your favorite late night show. A lot of times they're playing Thelonious Monk music. You don't even know that. You don't even know they're playing his music because it's now so mainstream. But when it first came out, people couldn't get with it except for a few very talented jazz musicians. Because Around Midnight was first recorded by Coleman Hawkins. Coleman Hawkins is the father of jazz saxophone. Coleman Hawkins, like one thing I love about Coleman Hawkins that he never stayed stagnant. He had a sound, but he was willing to embrace new concepts and approaches. A lot of cats refused to change; they didn't want to get with the times. But Coleman Hawkins, I could play with Thelonious Monk. Hell, I could play with Sonny Rollins. I could play with everybody. The same thing with Duke Ellington. Listen to the Money Jungle that he did with Charlie Mingus and Max Roach. They're basically playing Duke Ellington songs. It's like, to me, if I was on a desert island stranded, one of the albums I would take with me would be Money Jungle. Okay, it really celebrates the timelessness and the transcendence of Duke Ellington's brilliance as a composer, as well as a piano player, as a pianist. I mean, these guys are his music children, and also they're young enough to be his children. Duke is like 20 something years older than these guys, but yet he still fits in with these guys. He's still playing, being inventive with old material, representing, remixing, all that stuff. That's the way you stay young, is sharing ideas and connecting with younger people. That's how you stay relevant and young. You understand what I'm saying? Is to be willing to embrace change, to move forward, and also connect with the younger folks. That's how you stay relevant, you know. And I can't say enough about it, but yeah, Monk, man, he's amazing. But look at that documentary, Straight No Chaser. It's worth looking at. It shows Monk on tour back in the '60s with his band. It shows the Baroness, the jazz Baroness. Man, you can look at her, you can see that she got a lot of love for Monk. I don't know if it was like any sexual thing going on, but she loved that man. She loved his music and loved the man. And Nelly has a lot of love for that black woman. That black woman made sure he had a home when he didn't have no work. He lost his cabaret license protecting Bud Powell, on a drug rap. So in New York back in those days, you had to have a cabaret license to play anywhere that served alcohol. If a musician lost their cabaret license, that basically you can make a living in New York. You cannot make a living. You cannot play at places where they serve alcohol. But the loneliest one thing, he was loyal to his friends, man. He loved his people. He protected Bud Powell. Um, and Baroness protected him a lot of ways. He had a lot of other musicians looking out for Thelonious Monk. Like my friend who passed away 2 years ago. I lost a lot of people over the last 10 years. I have lost a lot of good people that I had came across, that had the good fortunes of coming across. Dr. Randy Weston. If y'all know who Dr. Randy Weston is, go Google him up. He's amazing. He died 2 years ago around Labor Day weekend of 2018. And he was one of the people that was really trained by Monk. Like Monk was one of his Jegnas as well as Langston Hughes. So I don't know nobody else that could claim Langston Hughes and Thelonious Monk as their Jegnas, but Dr. Randy Weston. Because he actually it was in Langston Hughes' will that Dr. Randy Weston play at his funeral. And Thelonious just spent hours and hours with Randy Weston, showing him different things musically. And Randy Weston and a couple other musicians looked out for Thelonious Monk when he lost his cabaret license. He was able to play in black-owned clubs in Brooklyn and outside of New York City. So he had a network of people that knew the value of Thelonious and helped him for several years get gigs outside of the city because he didn't have his cabaret license. So I know I'll probably be talking about Sylvie's Love, but this is the where it's set. It's set in 1950s New York, right? Great jazz clubs like Birdland, the Five Spot, the Village Vanguard, Smalls. I mean, I feel like I'm born in the wrong time. Like I'm trans era. I'm born in the wrong time. I should have been born and been of age in the 50s and stuff. And I could hang out at the clubs and talk to the musicians, hear Coltrane and Thelonious Monk and C. Miles and talk to these guys and really vibe with these guys, man. I feel like I missed out. But I love Sylvie. It brings that authenticity of that era to life. You know what I'm saying? It was good. So I enjoy and I love the soundtrack. Great soundtrack, and also it's introducing folks to jazz. Like they're not only talking about just jazz in general, but they saying like they talk about Thelonious Monk, Brilliant Corners, or Sonny Rollins, Saxophone Colossus, or dropping names like Charlie Parker, just like they did in Love Jones. It's a place in the rack. It's like it's an updated version of Love Jones. I think it'll age well because it talks about the potential of black love. It really shows the importance of black family, of acceptance of yourself and as well as others, of living your true authentic self. Like to paraphrase Charlie Parker, music is your life and experiences. If you don't live your music, it won't come out your horn, something like that. I'm just paraphrasing. I messed it up, but you get the idea. But yeah, and also it's a scene where things are falling apart for B flat. Everything's falling flat for him, and really you dealing with like in Mom Rainey's Black Bottom, it talks about the gatekeepers, right? They're white in the industry, so you got dudes that he got to go to that's white to validate what he's doing. Even the countess is a white gatekeeper, right? She was able to get the band out of their crappy contractual obligations, so they could go on tour in Europe to Paris and stuff. But they had to go through white people to make that happen. The Countess, and then this other European guy who wanted to bring them to Paris. Then you got Sid, the record producer. Uh, you know, B flat went to him, said, "I'm ready to become a leader now. You say you want me to holler at you when I'm ready to lead my own band and record." Then he basically dismisses him. Said, "Jazz is dead, man. You know, times out of changing. It's Bob Dylan time. It's Motown time." Then he tried to get a job at Motown, and I'm just gonna leave it. But the thing about the Motown, what people don't understand, that pop music was made by very talented jazz musicians. Like Motown, that sound was created by jazz musicians. Look at the documentary In the Shadows of Motown. It talks about that, about how you got these top level jazz musicians that created this pop sound. Even Quincy Jones, when he was spilling all that tea a couple years ago, we talking about how he sent Ringo Starr on a lunch break and brought in some top-notch black jazz musician to drum. Because a lot of times people didn't understand, like they'll buy a Beatles album or a song or whatever, or anybody. They say, well, why don't they sound like live like they do on their records? Why don't they sound like how they sound on their records? Because a lot of times that's not them playing on their records. At least that's why I read. I don't know. I wasn't there, but Quincy Jones said it wasn't Ringo Starr on some of that stuff. Okay. And that's a guy, and Quincy Jones is a jazz musician and arranger. He's the ones that produced the greatest selling music album of all time, right? Thriller. That's Quincy Jones. Jazz man. Count Basie, Frank Sinatra, Lionel Hampton, that Quincy Jones produced that album. That's why it sounded the way it sounded. Cause he had an ear of a jazz man that produced it. So, um, Sylvie's Love. Check it out. Then let me talk about Soul. I got soul, you got soul, we all got soul, right? The movie. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was good for what it was. It's a Disney movie. So it's gonna have subliminal messaging and all this stuff in it. And it's a Pixar produced movie. And a lot of times, those type of animated movies have all type of different layers of meaning. Like it got something for everybody. But like depending on your age and your experience in life, it could read to you differently. You might receive something different from it. And it's one of those movies that you watch it over and over again, you always get something new out of it. That's Soul. And Jamie Foxx, I mean, he's very talented. I liked him in the lead, but the movie was misleading in terms of who was the lead, right? Because Jamie Foxx, you see the trailer, you see Jamie Foxx, you might see him as a ghost, but nobody don't see no cat as the lead. So really, on some level, it talks about the emasculation of the black male. Like they turned Jamie Foxx character Joe Gardner into a big fat pussy, a pussycat. He got turned to a big fat pussy. Emasculation of the black man, of the black male. Then in the movie, you have the black women acting as the gatekeepers to his dreams, including his mama. He got mama issues. The mama, she's very domineering and want to tell, oh, you got to get a full-time job with benefits. Where you get those at? This is 2020. What are the full-time jobs with benefits? This is 1960 something or 1970 something. This is 2020, lady. And he started off him as being a substitute teacher or a part-time teacher, whatever. I've been there, you know, part-time teacher, substitute teaching is an interesting experience, especially as a black man, because education is matriarchy land. As far as I'm concerned, it's matriarchy because, like, as a black male, they just want you there to scare the kids or to be the disciplinarian, not to be an educator. That's how I was when I tried to get into the education business some years ago. Maybe 16 years ago. I got the qualifications. I'm an artist. I tried to apply to be an art teacher. I thought I was gonna get called back. They told me they're gonna call me back. They'd been like 16 years late. 16 years ago, I did substitute. It's like you go to these schools. The office don't really care what happened in the classroom. Long they gonna go outside the classroom. Just keep the animal in the cages. Don't let them get too disruptive. And if they get too disruptive, we won't help you in anything. And the animals in the cage know you won't get any help, so they act even crazier. So I mean, it's interesting. It's not really about education at this point. It's about indoctrination when it comes to the miseducation system. But with that said, a lot of people reading a lot into this movie, like I just did. They emasculate this man, turn him to a big fat pussycat. You know, um, he got to get the validation from the women. It's like women are in positions of power to deny or grant him something. But I'm gonna walk it back. He wanted to be part of Dorothy or Dorothea Williams quartet. And like I said, it's an all-star cast. Jamie Foxx, Felicia Rashad plays his mom. Angela Bassett is the jazz queen. It's kind of like a Mom Rainey character in this movie. Really enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? But that's not unusual. Let me make this myself clear. If you put this in a historical context, that's not unusual for him to sometimes go through a woman in the music. Because I'm gonna tell you why. I just got through talking a lot about Thelonious Monk. One of the co-signers of Thelonious Monk was a black woman named Mary Lou Williams. Now, who was Mary Lou Williams? Mary Lou Williams was a brilliant black woman. She was a brilliant composer and pianist in jazz. She actually was born in Atlanta, but was raised in Pittsburgh. I guess in the Hill District. That's where August Wilson from. All that black history in Pittsburgh, in the Hill District. It's powerful, man. A lot of great jazz musicians come out of Pittsburgh. It's so many of them. Father Earl Hines, Art Blakey, Billy Strayhorn, Billy Eckstein, Mary Lou Williams, Earl Gardner, Ahmad Jamal. That's Miles Davis' favorite piano player. So many come out of Pittsburgh. So many. So it's not just New Orleans. It's not just Memphis. It's not just Chicago. Wherever black folks get, we are magical. So I brought up Mary Lou Williams because she was the one that could be called the mother of bebop, of a modern jazz, whatever. Because the jazz musicians used to meet at her home to run ideas. Like she was co-signer. I mean, hey, like Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Bud Powell, Thelonious Monk, all the jazz guys used to come to a home to discuss the music, the theory behind the bebop, as well as Minton's Playhouse too. They at the night jam sessions and stuff like that. But it was Mary Lou Williams that connected Thelonious Monk to the jazz baroness in Paris. Like I said earlier, I think I read that earlier. So Mary Lou Williams was very proud. And also Mary Lou Williams used to live in Memphis back in the 1920s. Her husband at that time was from Memphis, named John Overton Williams. He was a saxophonist for the Annie Kirk band. Andy Kirk and Jimmy Lunsford are both from Denver, Colorado. They were trained by Wilberforce Whiteman, the father of Paul Whiteman, the so-called king of jazz, who was a white man. But you see all the connections. Like Jimmy Lunsford knew about Mary Lou Williams when they were both here back in the 20s. He used to play cards together and pick up, used to, do gigs and stuff with Mary Lou Williams, from my understanding. But Mary Lou Williams had to co-sign Thelonious a couple of times and validate, open doors. And even look at Louis Armstrong. It was a black woman that made him great. His second wife, Lil Harder Armstrong from Memphis, who saw his genius when he didn't see his value. He didn't know who he was. It was a black woman that said, I know who you are, black man. I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna upgrade you. I'm gonna make sure the world knows who you are as well. That's what it happens when you get with the right type of black woman, right? So it didn't bother me because it happens in music. Like even I think Little Richard started off with Sister Rosetta Tharpe, I believe, on the circuit, if I'm mistaken. So I don't know. Y'all can look all this stuff up. Mon Rainey, she brought up Bessie Smith and some other people. So that's not unusual for that. I didn't have no problem with that at all because you had some very talented women in the music, and you still do. They help elevate. Like Roberta Flack helped Luther Vandross to become a superstar. Because Luther Vandross used to be a backup singer for everybody, for even David Bowie. And Roberta Flack said, "Look, you can't do this no more, man. You got to be out front. I'm gonna tell people not to hire your ass. You got to be out there. You got too much talent." And the rest is history. So sometimes it takes that push from a black woman to make you great as a black man and to turn you from a black male to a black man. So I have no problem. I mean, I know people have problems. I see where the problems are. This white savior thing that kind of plays. I didn't know Tina Fey was the voice of the whatever that Casper looking thing is. Hell Smurf and Hell Casper. I didn't know she was, but like that barbershop saying bothered some people. Well, the barber said, you never asked me about myself. You always just talking about jazz, right? And if you went to anybody black that goes to the barbershop, know that you talk about everything in the barbershop. Like it's confession time. It's like you go on if you're a Catholic going to church, you get in that confession booth. That's what getting that barber chair is a confessional. You confessing stuff. So you talk, so it's not even realistic. About if like the guy, if you've been going to that guy for years, because that's sacred to trust somebody with your hair. That's a sacred act. Very sacred. I don't like people touching my head because I don't like that shit. I don't. But for somebody to be able to touch your head and then do things to your head in your space, that's a sacred space. So I don't buy they never talk about things outside of jazz. Especially that's a place where men, it's a safe space for men to bond with other men, the barbershop. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. But it's Pixar. Do black people own Pixar? Do black people own Disney? Michael Jackson tried to buy Marvel, and look what happened to Michael Jackson. Even Stan Lee said he confirmed that Michael was trying to buy Marvel. We as black people are only limited by our will and imagination. That's the only thing that limits us. So, I mean, it's like I don't expect too much out of this. I mean, I don't know. American Skin, interesting. I will watch it. I'm going to support it, but I don't expect it to change the world. I don't expect the Judas and Black Messiah, a Messiah movie about Fred Hampton and the snitch William O'Neill is going to change anything, especially when you do the research. I mean, I ain't looking for no movie to educate me. I'm not looking for no movie to liberate me. I got to do the hard work in liberating and educating myself and free myself from my confines of soft bigotry or low expectations. That's an individual task. That's a village task. So Sylvie's love and soul should be looked at along with Mom Rainey's Black Bottom. You should look at these movies. And I could say more about stuff, but I'm not gonna say more about stuff. I think I'm gonna get out of here. I just want to make sure I did provide some content for you all, as promised. Okay, thank you, Sister Teresa Walker. Y'all appreciate it. I try to give a historical account because I'm trying to give y'all breadcrumbs because a lot of people like, it's not unusual for black women to be gatekeeper. I know I talked about that, but I mean, look at the music. I mean, even look at, I saw this documentary about strippers in Atlanta, right? And people talking about, these rappers were talking about, we want our songs to be broke at the strip club. Because when when a stripper chooses your song, when they shake their ass to your song, that means you got a hit before it gets on the radio. That's the power of black women. They the queen makers. It's like in that show P Valley. They showed that how the dude wanted his music to be broke in at the strip club and for the strippers to choose it. He couldn't force it on them. They had to choose it. It's like you digging for oil or something. They had to shake it. So I mean, black women are very powerful. You know, tastemakers. You know, um, thank you, Sister Teresa. Appreciate it. We love you madly. I think I logged myself out by accident. So yeah, I appreciate y'all receiving this, man. Yeah, I look forward to hearing you. Like I always appreciate the feedback. Sometimes I've been kind of off right now. It's a weird time to be alive because my energy is weird because I'm tired and energetic at the same time. Like I'm trying to push this stuff out. I mean, there's a lot of things to be on my mind that I don't want to get out there. And I thank y'all for supporting it. Yeah. Oh, this is beautiful right here. I gotta share this. Black man, pussycat, majority of the movie. Yeah. White woman, boss of his body, black man, catch 22. Yep. Because the thing was called 22. All these subliminals, man. Y'all woke, as they say. Yep. 'Cause I keep on thinking about, that OJ thing got me thinking, what happened to OJ. I don't believe he did it at all. But you can't name one person in history that did something else. Can you think of any other black male celebrity that been accused of killing white people? Can anybody think of any black male celebrity outside of OJ that's ever been accused of killing white people? I mean, even with the Bill Cosby thing, they killing Emmett Till for less, and you want us to believe that he was raping white women back then, doing Selma? They're killing black dudes just for looking at white women. Reckless eyeballing. They're putting people in mental institutions for not getting off the sidewalk for 2-year-old white kids. So it's interesting. I mean, what Rashawn Roland Kirk is beyond category. I think more people should get hip to what he was about. Rashawn Roland Kirk was a true black cultural warrior. He really was for us. I mean, he really was about elevating jazz to its rightful place. He saw jazz as a classical music. He wanted the white establishment to respect. He wanted them to respect it, but he wanted us to respect that. That jazz was a real classical music. We invented classical music. Our music is a healing music, and they bastardized it today. It was all part of a plan to destroy our music. I think about this. If you think about 52 years ago, or whatever, 51 years ago, what happened at UCLA, right? January 1969, with Bunchy Carter and John Huggins getting killed by the so-called US organization, allegedly, on orders of the federal government, really, COINTELPRO. But US is the Run Karanga, Malanga Karanga, right? He's the founder of Kwanzaa. His folks is accused of killing no Panthers on UCLA campus, right? But Bunchy Carter was a poet. And he was just 26 years young. And you think about the people that getting killed today, these rappers, they're 20 something years young. Like I like Little Baby and the Baby. I like them. They're very talented, but what are they really saying to electrify the masses? They're not a threat to nobody. They're only a threat to themselves and to their community. I mean, your words create worlds, right? And they young and they influential, but by the time they learn about how this thing really goes, they're gonna be irrelevant. Like their time's gonna pass. They're right now, they're hot right now, but their time is gonna pass. But we need them to be woke right now and speaking that hot fire like a H. Rap Brown or a Kwame Torre or a Fred Hampton or our Prentice Bunchy Carter. They ain't gonna happen. You see how they twisted up Pac? Pac got messed up in the game, and they took him out of here at 25. So Rashawn Roland Kirk, he overstood who we are as a people. You know, he was blind, but he was not blind to the truth of who we were as a people. There's a documentary y'all should look at of Rashawn Roland Kirk. I don't know if it's still on Amazon Prime, but check out some stuff on Rashawn Roland Kirk, man. He's really a amazing. The man could play horns, several horns at one time. Man was a very talented, brilliant musician, and I think he did a TV show back in the day to showcase the brilliance of jazz music, along with some other black musicians like Charlie Mingus. We don't talk enough about Charles Mingus. I love Mingus, man. I love Mingus. I know people talk about Geminis and Virgos, music geniuses, but damn, we got some great Taurus. And our Tauruses we represent, man. Cause Mingus is a Taurus. Duke Ellington was a Taurus. Ella Fitzgerald a Taurus. Robert Johnson a Taurus. A lot of Tauruses be representing in the music game. So, but yeah, maybe I don't know when Rashawn Roland Kirk was born, but now he's a righteous ancestor that made some. You know, he died doing what he loved to do, which was create amazing music. Creating that music basically killed him at that high level. Yeah, OJ didn't do it. Yeah, King Von, that guy. I mean, a lot of rappers died. Pop Smoke, King Von, Mo 3, so many of these guys getting killed. I think Rudolph Johnson. A lot of these guys I don't even hear about until they dead, which is unfortunate. Yeah, I like Public Enemy. Yeah, Sarah Vaughn, your coffee's reviews. Oh yeah, your daughter, she loves Sarah Vaughn. She in the right place. Sarah Vaughn, she from Dirty Jersey too. She from Newark. Like, you know, Whitney, all them guys. Got a lot of great musicians come out of New Jersey. Queen Latifah's from New Jersey. Queen Latifah's an amazing jazz singer. If y'all never heard Queen Latifah sing a jazz, y'all missing out. Very talented sister who played Bessie Smith a couple years ago for the HBO movie, right? Along with Monique did Mon Rainey. And we still sleeping on Monique, man, because Monique did Mon Rainey in Bessie Smith movie with Queen Latifah. See, I don't think it was a real story, but it was based on a real time in history. It was like the golden era of jazz. You know, think about the 1950s, the early 60s, man. Think about the jazz albums that came out like Kind of Blue. We just lost the last living musician that was on Kind of Blue this year, Jimmy Cobb, the drummer. He was the last one. You had Coltrane, you had Wynton Kelly, Bill Evans, my God, Julian Cannonball Adderley, Jimmy Cobb, and was that Paul Chambers on bass? I don't, but man, all them guys gone now. And Kind of Blue is one of the greatest albums ever produced. Not just jazz, but it's probably, I think it's the best selling jazz album of all time. I think it's the best selling jazz album of all time. And so you had John Coltrane, Giant Steps, like, you know, because the movies take place in the late 50s. I mean, like, I think it's from 58 to 63. You know, because like, you know, like Sylvie cousin ended up going to Washington D.C. for the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, and she met, you know, they met whatever Mona and her. So it's from 58 to 63. So you had a lot of great jazz getting made at the time. You had Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers and stuff like that. But it's like Love Jones. To me, it's our this generation Love Jones. But I want to do some more in depth on that. I might have some other people come in on that. Some women get a woman's perspective on some of those things as well. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the movie system. Yeah, it was strange. I don't. I'm glad to get that woman's perspective because it sounded like she really cared about his career though. But it's like, man, it's been 5 years later. You didn't even try to reach out to the dude. Then you kind of just so happen to see him outside of this theater that you about to attend this Nancy Wilson concert, and y'all just pick up where y'all left off, and you never tell him about the child. Your father on his deathbed had to remind you, or not remind you, but he told him it wasn't her. So I mean, I think it's like, how can we trust each other, baby? You know, saying you don't tell me anything, but it happens more than people think, probably. Yeah, it was good. I mean, I'll watch it again because, like I said, with Soul, you get something out of it differently, and it was worth the while. You know, Tessa Thompson is so talented. It is my hope that somebody will write a movie about Ida B. Wells and cast her as the lead. She is such an underrated talent. I mean, I remember seeing her on what this show, that movie. You know what I'm talking about? Dear White People. Okay, that was her in Dear White People, the movie, right? Tessa Thompson, not the series. I couldn't stand that series at the end. I couldn't get rid of that last. I could not watch that last season of Dear White People on Netflix. I mean, they're making fun of hotel people. Nothing wrong being hotepish or hotel. One season they did. I mean, it was hard, man, because their agenda is real. But Tessa Thompson is very talented. I like that in Man in Black International. I just saw Man in Black International, and I it was better than I thought it was gonna be. But Tessa Thompson was a highlight to me of that. She helped carry that. But I think Tessa Thompson will make a great Ida B. Wells Barnett, and I think Jordan Peele should do a movie about lynching and about Ida B. Wells because he loves to tell them horror movies. He did This Is Us, right? And he did Get Out. Why not do a movie that's dealing with lynchings of black people, but it talks about Ida B. Wells and her journey in exposing these things and leading her one person or one woman crusade. Ida B. Wells was one woman movement for almost 12 years. She was going across the country and overseas, telling folks about how they were doing black folks in America. That's one woman by herself doing that, just like 5'1" or 5'2", 5 feet tall. I always carry two guns on her person. They said if they're gonna take me out, I'm gonna take some of them with me. But we are long overdue over a biopic or an epic movie about Ida B. Wells. And Tyler Perry got the studios. Hell, we got the talent. Let's make it happen. Long overdue. Okay, Jane Griffin, the first Suge Knight. Why don't you tell the story? See, like right now, we really don't have no excuse why we can't tell these stories. We don't need no Steven Spielberg or no Hollywood to tell our stories. Think about what Oscar Mashal will be doing right now, the father of black cinema. He was making movies on one take. He didn't have enough money for a budget to keep on doing reshoots and edits. You understand what I'm saying? We need to start thinking like that. What will Oscar Mashal be doing with an iPhone? What will he be doing with just an iPhone? We don't think enough of ourselves because we gotta learn this history, man. Because if you think about Charlie Parker, I'm gonna put a picture of a bird. I love Charlie Parker. This year is his centennial. I'm not even talking about the movies no more. But they mentioned Charlie Parker throughout the whole movie on Sylvie's Love, right? Because the dude at the auto plant asked the brother, "You ever get a chance to meet Charlie Parker?" He said, "No, he died before I got there." See, the movie set from 1958 to 63. Charlie Parker died March 12th, 1955, at the home of the jazz baroness, the Rothschild lady, right? Um, see this picture of Charlie Parker. Also, I talk about Barry Harris, right? Barry Harris is right now, he lives in the home of the jazz baroness. She left their home to here, her mansion in Weehawken, New Jersey, where Monk died. But he's a master teacher, right? He's from Detroit. He just turned 91 years young. He leads this huge, massive jazz class that's free to the public. I guess you could donate what you want. He welcomed musicians at all levels of competency and all ages to come out and learn how to play themselves through their own instrument. Man is brilliant, and I wanted to see him this year, but COVID hit, and I hope he does well. I hope he lives to be over 100 years old, and I look forward to meeting him one day. But Barry Harris, he lives in that mansion now. She left it to him, and but he leads these big, large, like jazz workshops up in New York City. And y'all gotta check out a New York Times article that came out, I think either last year or this year, about his efforts. I think it was earlier this year around what's it up? The 65th anniversary of Charlie Parker's death. Because Charlie Parker died March 12th, 1955. But I think it's around it. But yeah, Barry Harris, he's a living legend. And we lost so many jazz icons this year, a lot of them. So y'all should check it out. Let me see. And what's their website? BarryHarris.com. And I think his thing is his learning style is ethos. And he breaks it down. He said, enter here to listen, to learn, to understand. T is to give and to grow. And for two, the H stands for heighten and enlighten the minds. And O of all is the challenge. And towards this goal, we will S strive in oneness. So it's ethos or ethos. That's his acronym. I'll read again. E is for enter here to listen, to learn, to understand. T to give and to grow. And for two, H heighten and enlighten the minds. O of all is the challenge, and towards this goal we will. S strive in oneness. So that's his teaching methodology. Now I'm about to wrap it up. I want to thank y'all for rocking with me. I didn't know if I had anything to share worthwhile. But y'all are very patient and lovely people, and we love you madly. Man, I love Bird, man. Charlie Parker was amazing. Like I said, my people grew up with Bird. They knew Bird. He worked with them. He laughed with them. Smoked weed with them. I mean, he was an interesting cat, man. He only lived to be 34 years young, but he left so much for us to understand and overstand. And like I'm saying with him, he didn't let the racism of Jim Crow hold him down. Like before he died, he did an interview with Paul Desmond back in 1954 on Boston radio, just a year before he died. And Paul Desmond asked him, like, how you become so great? Like, what did you do? Were you born like this? He said, no, I wasn't born like this. What I did was, for 4 years, I practiced my saxophone 11 to 15 hours a day. He did that for 4 years. He practiced on the saxophone 11 to 15 hours a day. He was born a Virgo. He was born August 29th, 1920. Kobe Bryant is a Virgo. See, I thought that was the Mamba mentality. Now, that's the Virgo mentality. Michael Jackson is a Virgo. Dinah Washington is a Virgo. Albertina Walker is a Virgo. All born August 29th. Virgos. That's a Virgo thing. John Coltrane was born on a Virgo cusp. He was born, I think, September 23rd. So he's on the cusp of a Virgo. He's a Libra, but it makes sense because Coltrane was like Charlie Parker. They would practice on their horn for hours and hours. One time, John Coltrane asked Miles Davis, he said, Miles, I can't stop playing. I can't stop every time. How do I do it? He said, take the fucking mouth. Take the fucking horn out your mouth. Take the fucking horn out your mouth. Mouth. Take it out your mouth. That's how you stop. But John Coltrane kept horns around or saxophones around his home. Like some people keep rifles and guns while member NRA. He had so many saxophones laying around. And then what's interesting about Coltrane, what people don't know, that even Miles talked about this in the autobiography. Coltrane had some horrible teeth. He had bad teeth. And that's amazing to think about because a lot of your success in playing the saxophone depends on your armature, right? It depends on your mouth. But his teeth were horrible. You never seen Coltrane smile with his mouth open because his teeth was jacked up. And he actually feared he's going to have some dental surgery done. And he actually feared that if they pulled out his teeth or whatever, they would mess up his sound on his horn. And Coltrane would spend hours and hours looking for the best mouthpiece for his mouth. Like he had somebody like Coleman Hawkins. Coleman Hawkins was amazing because he took the time. He really respected the young musicians, but even he would try to help Coltrane to find the perfect mouthpiece for his mouth. But Mal said he had that surgery. He was concerned that Coltrane's sound would be off because Coltrane has a very distinctive sound. Like when you hear him play, you know that's Coltrane. Like I tell y'all, just because everybody played the same instrument does not mean that everybody's gonna sound the same. Like Louis Armstrong don't sound like Dizzy Gillespie. Dizzy Gillespie don't sound like no Miles Davis. They all sound different on the same instrument. So to their relief, Coltrane's sound was not bothered by him having dental surgery. But you never see a picture with Coltrane showing his teeth out because they were jacked up. But he didn't let that stop him from making a great career as a musician. And Charlie Parker didn't let a lot of things, even his drug habit. And I tell you the reason why he got on drugs because he got in a real bad car accident, messed up his body, and they got him on morphine. And morphine is nothing, is just another, morphine comes out of heroin, or heroin comes out of morphine, like crack and cocaine, same difference, right? So he was trying to find out ways to get off the damn drug, end up getting on alcohol. This man would drink a gallon of wine a day. I kicked the heroin habit, but now I'm drinking like a gallon of wine. Charlie Parker was interesting, man. He was not the world's best dad. You know what I'm saying? He knew that he was sitting here to make this amazing music. And that's it. And once the mission was accomplished, he left us at 34. He left at 34 years old. So when I look at that Bird movie that Clint Eastwood did, it's very misleading. It's like the Soul movie. It was misleading because you thought it was gonna be about a black man, but it was about a pussy. It was about a big fat pussy. But anyway, we gotta do our research. We all we got. We all we got. So I want to thank y'all for taking the time for coming on here. Was Charlie Parker the one? Now that's Lester Young. That's Billie Holiday's guy. They call Charlie Parker Bird or Yardbird, but Bird for short because a lot of different stories about why he be calling him Bird. He loved chicken. He loved to eat chicken. Um, there's a story that his band was on the road. Somebody hit a chicken on the road. He said, "Well, stop. Get that Yardbird." He took it to a woman's house. She cooked it for him. So Charlie Parker loved that chicken. He didn't want to go to waste. I guess a one man's roadkill is another man's dinner, you know. And also, this is something that people don't know. Well, there was a place in Harlem called Jimmy's Chicken Shack, right? It's called Jimmy's Chicken Shack. I think Charlie Parker used to work there, play there for chicken or something. But guess who were the dishwashers there at one point? Malcolm X and Red Fox were dishwashers there back in the day when Malcolm was Detroit Red, I think, and Red Fox was St. Louis Red or whatever. They were both dishwashers. See, Red Fox and Malcolm X were close when Malcolm was hustling. So they both work at Jimmy's Chicken Shack, and Charlie Parker used to play at Jimmy's Chicken Shack. I believe Art Tatum, the great Art Tatum, actually played there as well too at one point. But people talking about, well, he's a teacher. Like in the movie Soul, the Jamie Foxx character, Joe Gardner, his star pupil was not a black person. It was like some Asian, Hispanic, Latina hybrid. But here's the thing. Black people, we are the master teachers of the universe. We are the master teachers, the first parents of humanity. That's always been our role. Who taught the Romans? Who taught Hank Williams? Who taught George Gershwin? I can name the black man who taught George Gershwin, Lucky Roberts and James Reese Europe. James Reese Europe was his music hero growing up, and Lucky Roberts, a stride piano player from Philadelphia, taught George Gershwin how to play and compose. It's like it was Rufus T. Top Payne, a black musician, who taught Hank Williams Sr. how to play country and blues, to sing it and play it by guitar. We always teaching everybody what we know, but do we get compensated? It's like how we go on Vlad TV and tell everything we know, and we wonder why we end up in federal penitentiary. We give everything away for free and get no respect for it. So now, but Prez was Lester Young, and Charlie Parker was called Bird. But both got Kansas City connections, because Prez became really famous when he hooked up with the Count Basie band back in the 1930s. But I love Prez sound, and Prez came from a very accomplished family. Actually, one of his sons was at one point one of the top educators in the state of New York, Dr. Young. His son became one of the top educators in terms of policy in the state of New York. So Lester Young is an interesting dude. Y'all should check out on YouTube one of his last interviews. If Lester Young was on the Breakfast Club, it would went viral. But there was no Breakfast Club radio show, let alone Charlemagne the God back in 1950s. But he did an interview before he died. He was saying all type of MFs and stuff. I love it. Cause it was like poetry. Like the way we use words is like poetry, man. Black people are very rhythmic and musical. We just got a rhythmic thing about us. That's why we can't do what they do and think we're gonna get away with it. We speaking things to existence. Our words manifest worlds. Words creates worlds. Like I said, Al Pacino and Rob De Niro, they could play gangster. They just playing. But when we play around like that, we manifest gangster. And then it backfires. It's a price you pay for being the chosen. Yeah, Lester Young was the press. Black people. I don't know how I remember this stuff. It's my curse. It's a blessing and a curse. But y'all can look it up. But like I said, a lot of things I be behind because man, it be like a lot of stuff on my mind, man. I remember anniversaries and this happened this day. And it's a lot of stuff I gotta deal with. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. Cause a lot of times people like, man, Ron don't call me back or he don't answer right away. I'm just trying to deal with being me. I know everybody got their thing going on. I got a lot of stuff going on, but I try to be as helpful as I can. That's why I do shows like these. Cause I want to share what I know because anything can happen at any time. And it's not about me at the end of the day. This is just a temporary experience. It's not going to last forever. So whatever my problems I'm going through is just temporary, like the season. I just found out today, or I guess yesterday, that one of my classmates from high school passed away from COVID-19. And God bless the memory of Jonathan Craig, man. Like, I ain't talked to him in years, but he was one of the people that I remember. He was always laughing and smiling. He was funny. He was naturally funny. Like, you know how Dick Gregory would say that the people who are the funniest you ever heard in your life are usually like your family and friends. It's not that comedian you see at a stand-up club. It's usually somebody in your family that gave you the biggest laugh. And Jonathan Craig was one of those dudes, man. He would always put a smile on people's face. He was funny, and he was a beautiful cat, man. And he will be missed. And it's unfortunate, man. The guy, he's just in his early 40s. He's like 40 years old or whatever, like me. But I noticed in my class, a lot of us are dying. A lot of the black men are dying, and the women are actually looking better as they get older. In my class, I got a fine class, a class of '98, Overton High School. Some fine women, and some of the women look better. And then, like I said, I went to school with Mercedes from P Valley. That's Brandy Evans. I've known her for about 27 years. And it took me like 20 some years to see her naked, and I was not disappointed. But shout out to Brandy for doing her thing, living her life, living her best life. But just this year been tough. It's been a tough year. A lot of reflection for me. But with that said, I won't bore y'all with it. Um, y'all have a blessed night or morning. If you like the words from Brother Herb, please subscribe to We All BTV. It is weird to me because my views are up, but they keep on unsubscribing my people. I don't know if people unsubscribing, but it's weird though. It's like I gain like 50 people and I lose 100 people, some stuff like that. It's weird, but I'm not worried about that. Just gonna finish off strong and start off strong. And I want to thank you all for being patient with me. If you like the words from Brother Herd, once again, we all be TV, subscribe. You want to support the movement. Knowledge is the currency of the universe, but me as a mortal, as a mere mortal, I gotta pay bills and keep stuff going. So you can cash app your support at $ R2C2H2, Google Pay or PayPal R2C2H2 at gmail.com. You can Vimo at R2C2H2, or you can even Zelle now. Thank you, Sister Duckworth, at R2C2H2 at gmail.com, or the phone number 901-299-4355. You also buy Wear Artivist Art. This is my Charlie Parker shirt I did recently. Go down to that Teespring shelf below this description box on YouTube. Access that, or you could buy and hang up Artivist Art. I'm trying to get used to this stuff. You know, I'm not a see all this art back here. Yeah, Jimmy Lunsford, all this stuff. My own interpretation of Thelonious Monk, all this stuff. You go to r2c2h2.com. Thank y'all for listening and going down this ride with me. And in the words, I think I read the disclaimer right. Do you have anything to disclaim? Let's see. I got a great show for you all later on today. Hope y'all come back later on today and check it out. But disclaimer, the views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints, expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support, and that does it for this edition of the 2020 Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival, courtesy of We All Be TV. And know, in the words of the great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing. And know that the best is yet to come. Peace out.